Welcome, everyone, to the Infinite Star Connections. We are excited to be here with you. We are your hosts. I'm Vivian Chauvet and my good friend, Jeff Demers. Today, we have a wonderful, energetic, positive, and gifted guest, Sabrina Campbell. Sabrina has accepted to return to the podcast, and I know it's going to be an amazing, amazing conversation. Allow me to properly introduce Sabrina, and we want to dive in to get to know more about what she does. Sabrina is definitely very gifted in the art of healing and more. She's been on a journey to discover the innate gift that she has for a very, very long time. Her ability is really helping people to uncover what they may be stuck in, what is the blockages, her ability as a psychic, talking to your higher self and guides, mediumship, talking to people who have passed on, energy communication, talk to help beings from all areas of the cosmos and from many dimensional plane. That is incredible. Angel communication, talking with angelic beings, guardian angels, archangels, animal communication. On that one really speak to my heart. Speaking to our beloved animals and the one who are here in physical form as well as those who are passed on and so forth. Sabrina offers what she calls soul sessions where she can really combine the richness, the depth of her abilities during one session. Can you imagine what it looks like and what it feels like? Sabrina has Reiki Level 2. She also provides sessions, guidance, and you will see that in spades today. I can't wait to dive. Amazing abilities since childhood. And luckily for all of us, Sabrina has dwell and explore her gift. Sabrina has a unique ability to be a clear, very clear channel for galactic being and a conduit for cosmic energy. And that is also speak to me. That is fantastic. She can reveal and understand and help you uncover your true purpose and help you get beyond sometimes where we get stuck in emotion and beyond. Sabrina also communicates daily with the Council of 12. I can't wait to talk about that. And allow me the pronunciation here, Lord Melchizedek. I don't know if you say that word. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, Melchizedek.
Thank you. Sabrina, I could go on and on, but let's dive. We want to hear from you. Welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to welcome also everyone who are joining us live right now. We have people from, wow, Denmark. Welcome, Mount Shasta. We have people from Canada. Welcome people from also England joining us, Sweden. We're very happy to have you. Thank you for being here with us. Stay with us. It's going to be an amazing hour and a half with Sabrina, Jeff, and I. And Sabrina, what can you share with us today? Help us to better understand who you are and how gifted you truly are.
That's a loaded question.
I know.
So I like to be, first and foremost, I like to be as approachable as possible. None of what we're experiencing right now, as in even in the last 5 years, is, let's say, easily computable at times. Because it's so fast. Everything's moving so fast. So I like to be somebody who's here for everybody. And I think my gifts are that I'm really, I trust 1,000,000,000% the information that I get. There's not a moment in between me getting the information to me, either speaking it or sharing it in some form where I doubt anything. I do not. It's 100% truth, honest, and it shows itself as well. Like when I do a session, I'll say something really random and off the wall. I'll half apologize because I'm like, this is just weird, but I have to say the weird stuff. And then it ends up showing up quite a few times throughout the session. So it's a blind trust, but it's a knowing as well. So I just really try to connect with everything, everybody, everything.
Okay. I'm going to continue on from our last time that we had you on here,
Mm-hmm.
because we were talking about the archangels, right? Now, I got a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
The archangels that you talk to, okay, are they the same archangels that like somebody else says that they talk to, Michael and all those, Raphael and that? Is it the same group?
That's a good question. Okay, so archangels are aspects of all of us. So what that means is they represent one part of us. And so we give them an assignment, we give them an area in which they represent within our being or the being of all. Like, for example, Michael, Archangel Michael represents protection. He's a warrior. He represents the part of us who wants to protect or needs protection. And he represents the warrior within us. So whenever I'm talking to an archangel, we could go right to the root and say that I'm talking to myself, or that I'm talking to that aspect in the entire collective. But what we're doing is we're giving a name, sort of a face, a being, somebody we can not necessarily tangibly communicate with, as in being able to touch, feel, but because we can share emotions and emotional intelligence through those aspects, we like to give them a face and a name.
Okay.
I hope that's clear.
Sure. Have you? Do you know if they talk amongst themselves about us down here?
Oh yeah, yeah. The collective, all of everything that is 5D and beyond. Yeah, 5D and beyond. We could say 4D, but I feel like I'm certain with 5D.
Yeah.
Is all.
Yeah. The 4D
It's
is
all
like a
here.
bitch.
It's a bridge. It's the thing that gets us between the 3 and the 5, and it helps us. It's nowhere we should stay, but somewhere we can cross. So in 5D and beyond, everybody's talking about us. It's not just that we're on like a stage or anything. It's that everybody's hopes, dreams, knowings, wisdom, everything has been put into our planet. This is the last planet that was formed in order for the ascension of everything in the collective. So what that means is in order for all of us to move up, even if those who aren't moving up don't move up, that's okay. That's a choice. And the rest of us are not limited to their choices. So what happens is that we are working to move up and up and up and up. And they, the ones we can't see and are choosing to only show themselves to those hearts that can see those beings. They are all here working hard in it's almost like a switchboard in my mind, like they're trying to match up all the right connections. Not that they're doing it, they're just doing what they're seeing. So like they take the patch out and they see one little plug go ding, and then they take another one out, ding, okay, and they just kind of work everything so that our 3D aspect can move with the least resistance, so that because 3D is a resistant state, what they're doing is they're getting rid of all extra resistance and allowing us to do whatever it is we have to do in order to learn whatever it is we have to learn in order to bring the vibration of the collective up and up and up.
Okay, now I'm going to put you on a spot. Now, you know the work I do with the UMO, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they are a higher 3D form than we are. They're considered trions, and we're considered bions inside of that 3D realm. Do the archangels know of the UMO, being that they're still in the 3D realm?
They know of everything, because the UMO is part of the collective. So because the archangels, again, are just, I say just because they're not actually a man, like when we see them right how we want to see them. So when we see Gabriel or Raphael come in, we're seeing them as something we choose. So something big, we're told they're big. So then that suggestion gives us something to create in our mind, right? But it's a part of the aspect. Raphael is the part of the aspect where everybody wants to heal themselves, heal others, heal. So then what happens is the Umo is all part of the collective. Everything is a part of the collective, even things that we think are non-living and have no life force. If they're here, they have a life force. So they are all part of the collective. So the Umo are just as much, they're just on a different dimension, like a different screenshot than what we are. But the aspects of the archangels definitely know all beings everywhere.
Because there's nothing that I've read that I had access to from the Umo that mentioned anything about archangels, what we call archangels. They
Right.
call it WOA.
Right. I was going to say what we call archangels.
Right. But they call it the creator of all. And I don't know if they break it down in categories like we do, you know.
Are you asking me, do they?
No. I'm telling you that I haven't ran across anything that categorizes it like we do. And just was wondering, are they just specific to us, or are they, can they go to them too?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's like we call, I can't think of language differences right now, but anyways, we call something cake, and then a different nation calls it something very different. Unless we visit that nation, we don't know, and we eat cake and we talk about it, we don't know that that's the difference in wording. So it's just like animal, going to a different thing, but it's just like animal body scanning and stuff. When people are saying, well, what does my animal have a disease? And I'm like, well, the animal doesn't tell me whether or not it has a disease. It doesn't know. It just says, I feel discomfort like this. This is how I feel and what I feel. And then I kind of either get channeling and help from above for what it is, but sometimes I don't, because it's not about me and it's not about the person finding out super fast. It's about the whole process. So that's what it is with the Umo as well. They have their own language for them, but it's not for the Umo to give us that understanding that they call the same thing something different. That's for us to reach out and start to move those blocks, communicational. Even if we talk to them, it doesn't mean we don't have sort of concrete blocks in place. So it's when we start to understand things in a, like, just kind of tilt our head and understand things rather than always taking it like straight on, is when we understand, is when we start to ask the real questions.
So that is a very good point, Sabrina. Love this, because otherwise we get trapped, we get stuck on semantics. It really is. We get stuck on semantics, and then, like you mentioned, Hugo may look at angelic being or being part of creation of all there is in a different way. But we have the labels here says, here's the angelic realm, here's the archangel, here's the guardian angel. We have different function for them. Well, ultimately, we're connected to the same beings, right? We're connected to the same place, just like cultural background. You may call a cup, and otherwise they're going to call task, but it's the same thing we're talking about. It's just the direction and the semantics. I love this. And you also mentioned, Sabrina, that some soul or some people would choose to evolve in different things. Do you feel that that's what's going on as we're moving from third dimensional, level of consciousness? We're bridging to the fourth, and I agree, it's just a bridge. Moving into fifth dimensional level of consciousness, do you feel that some people may not be ready to be evolving at that level?
Yeah, I think that like I'm running into it a little bit here and there when I have people I know and I know they're spiritual, and then when I talk to them, it's a level of understanding is way off, right? Like, not that somebody should be right where I'm at, but I'm learning even more every single day to drop almost every expectation I have of everything, anything, anywhere, because it's very much interesting watching the layers of people who are working through the 3D aspect of fear right now. It's an interesting thing to be able to witness and observe. And the really interesting thing is watching those who really want some people to ascend, and those people are really choosing not to, with their habits, with how they handle their issues and their challenges, repeating, repetitious, and choosing to do the things that have hurt them many times before. But watching those who are hoping that they'll change. And it's an interesting journey, because that's where the heart has to learn that suffering is only from within. So we can, an example, we can watch an animal move through death. We can watch them go from living, barely living, to dying, to dead. And as we're watching it, we want to change it. We want to energetically affect it. We want it to go in the way we expected it to, but it doesn't. And as we're watching it, some of us will honor that life and see the light that it was, and allow the growth from that animal being here, doing its job, whatever that, like the purpose, not its job, but its purpose, its true heart's purpose, and serving, or somebody who denies the honor of the death by simply holding the trauma and not moving through that death and seeing the light of the life of, right? So last night we lost a chicken. You know my chicken stories. I have chickens. I love my girls. And we had one named Naughty, and she was naughty. She was an eye pecker and a lip pecker and a tooth pecker. But loved us. I mean, loved us, would follow us everywhere. So last night it was very quick. It was very sudden. So it's not like I'm getting used to animals passing, because that's very far from the truth. But what the truth is that I honor her. And yes, of course, I have a few tears, right? Because that's how I process that type of intense emotion. But then when it's done, I'm like, wow, like, you are an amazing bird. I don't even know how to explain your the service you gave. Okay, I'm connected. My eyes are watering, not because I'm going to cry, but it's just because I'm connected right now. So it's a beautiful process to be able to move through and work through, because when the heart, it's not like the heart separates from the situation, but the heart goes so deep that it understands. It becomes a part of every cell of that situation. And so the heart then fully feels this really big warmth. But then the passing of that being, or we'll say the passing of my chicken, I didn't see her pass, but I did feel her pass. And the passing of her made my heart say, I just love even more, because look at how precious it is, right? Rather than, now I'm not going to say I was never holding on to their deaths. Of course I did in the very beginning of losing my chickens, or any animal, but my chickens, because I find it comes in groups. Like I have learned how to handle passing of dogs in a group, passing of cats in a group. And it seems like they're a different group, because they bring different lessons and they're here for different purposes. So it's a different understanding when they move. So chickens, we know, are not going to be here typically for years and years and years. So it's one of these things where I can understand it much faster, not because I love her any less, because that's just not true. I love her very much, but because I honor her, and I honor her life with the beautiful light that she is. And she's rainbow and golden. And she's a big lesson teacher in how to love those that peck you in the eyes and lips and teeth. So
I love this.
Right. So that was
absolutely
important. So that's where I was saying that it's not that it's easier to handle. It's just that the heart opens wider. And because it opens wider, it understands deeper what the purpose is for the passing, what the lesson was, A, in the passing, B, in the life and the relationship of. So it's really important. I feel like we go through trauma full circle in order to be able to understand why it came in the first place.
Chickens have souls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
All animals.
Animals have souls, right?
Yep. Everything has a soul. Everything.
is that any different than our soul, the human soul?
Yes, only in the sense that they are far deeper in their understanding of what their purpose is. They accept all of it. They're not weighted down with worry or human perceived forward thoughts or backward thoughts. They're in the now. And that allows a soul, because they're co-creators. They're helping us create heaven on earth right now, on earth. So they are so directly in tune with their job. So even when they may know that they're not supposed to be here on earth or with me, we'll say, for very long, that doesn't stop them from living every day beautifully.
Mm.
But it also
Absolutely. Sorry.
helps me learn. No, don't worry about it. But it also helps me learn from them living like that. It helps me learn that that's the healthiest way to be, not denying that a life has gone, has passed, but acknowledging the priceless, invaluable energy that it was.
Okay, I got an impossible question for you. You know that a human has infinite amount of timelines, right? The soul, the oversoul grants the soul an infinite amount of souls to experience what you got to experience. And then when that experience is done, you go back to oversoul, you get evaluated, and whatever. If a chicken has a soul, does it have an oversoul of a chicken?
No.
And it can't be anything else but a chicken, right?
No. It has an oversoul, period. It doesn't matter what the form or shape is. No oversoul definitely has a shape. It has colors that are so intertwined, that are metallic, that are different colors that we have no idea what they're called, because that's how they are, is their energy only. So like my chicken that we lost last night, Naughty, she could come back as a cat. She could come back as my best friend. She could come back as anything, really. Anything she wants, as long as she puts the contract out there, she signs it, and she dives into the physical body she agreed to.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, because I know that there is a soul contract that is generated, and depending on what you want to do, and that you get granted that.
Yeah, and if you're lucky enough, you move up into the animal realm.
I don't know about that. We'll see about that one.
But we know what I'm sensing, Sabrina, is what you're talking is exactly what we need right now. I feel like you are what we call helping everyone to return to a very heart connection where we need to be, returning to have what we call empathic responses. And empathic responses is to be able to honor life, reverence for all life, your chicken in your yard. I feel them, whether it's a pig, beautiful pig, a cow, an animal, a stone, a tree. I mean, I've seen personally firsthand a tree spirit when the tree was taken down, even the tree was healthy, beautiful, strong, even bigger than a house, was taken down for a pool. And the grief that it generated was such, because I'm multidimensional, sensitive, sometimes to a fault, but it's just the way it is. And I felt the grief around me to the other trees. There was a tree next to the one who got decimated, take down in front of my eyes just for a pool. And the tree next to it was such in shock. The branch started to lean forwards over our fence to be in our energy. And what I saw is that we did a ritual or rite of passage to allow the soul, the spirit of the tree to transition. And I saw this very, very tall being moving through the wall with my physical eyes, not in a dream or feeling it, which is just as valid, just so you know. But I physically saw the spirit of that tree moving through the wall and going into the realm of light. And then I heard the elemental. Now the tree spirit has passed on in a very respectful way. And I asked the protection of the other trees and then where we are. So we're returning that way. And I want to show you about the animal kingdom. My girl here It's so attuned. She's always there whenever we do. Whatever we do. And I feel like you and I will talk, Sabrina, because I need to know some things about my girl. But every time we do, and Jeff, the tell in the screen when I do meditation, every time I help a client in session, in private session, she's always there. And it's to be able to feel the consciousness. So what are we talking about? I feel it's helping people to heal their own wound, to reconnect to themselves. This is where we need the most to be. Not a distraction about disclosure, where this is going. It's really coming back into your heart and listening to you. It feels like a breath of fresh air. So I just wanted to give you recognition.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I agree with you about the tree as well. We have 2 black walnut trees in our backyard, and they're toxic to animals. I mean, fatal. And if they eat the casing around the walnut. And so I've told all of my animals, don't. Just don't. And they're like, okay, well, they're not mine, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So they're good. They don't. But there's a guy who was like, those are 2 black walnuts. Now they're not huge. If they were huge, they would probably be people banging on my door to take them down because they're worth so much money. But I cannot, for the life of me, they've been so much trouble with their walnuts and everything. I cannot, for the life of me, cut them down. I just cannot. And I have also on the other side of my property a massive white ash tree, which I think I've said this on your program a few times, but that in this area in Ontario, a lot of the ash trees are dying because they're incredibly sensitive to farm field chemicals. And any of the chemicals leaching off of the property lines, a lot of the times the ashes are in a little bit of a wet air, not wet, but not super dry area. And of course, the chemicals will then leach right through all of that water through there. So a lot of them have died. Like my previous boss, who's not an arborist, but he knows trees anyways. And he said that, wow, you have a white ash, man. Like, you're lucky. You better freaking well pray to that thing like it's God. I'm like, oh, she is God. I do pray to her that way. And she is the grandmother tree in our backyard. And she has kept so much of our property in line. She is so beautiful. Like, every time I see her, I'm like, oh my gosh, like those big hugs. And she's so huge. So it's like, good girl. I love you. She is starting to show a little bit of age and a little bit of wear, but every year she comes back. So
incredible.
I love it.
Oh, I can feel when you say give a big hug, and we have people in the chat room says, oh, I love Walnut Tree. And you can tell there's a lot of engagement right now. We have a question for you. I know that this is an answer that you answered before, but I feel like it's important to answer it again if it's okay with you. This beautiful person is asking. So I'll read the way it is. So is it very bad? Is it a very bad thing that people eat meat? Since we're talking about reverence for whole life, returning to the heart, animals, connections.
That's a good question and a difficult one. That is something where, okay, let's look at the way that it was done in the first sense. Okay, if we were talking about breaking from 5D and coming into 3D. When we came into 3D, there was a very basic version of us that was put in here. Now, that was taken away because it wasn't appropriate for this planet. Lots of people think that it was way worse than it actually was. The way that I've been shown, it was more of like oops. Then kind of, it wasn't an oops because everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. But this form wasn't in the state of awareness where they could move their kind forward fast enough. So they wouldn't have gotten to this point as fast as humans have. So those ones would hunt and then would use everything. Like, there wouldn't be anything left over, nothing, not even teeth were left over as the animal was used. So if we honor, this is a very difficult question because I know many of us here are vegetarians, so, and vegan. If we honor what we choose with our heart, and we do it in a pure and concise way. Now, I mean, this is my opinion, not grocery store stuff. If it's going to be done, then it needs to be done from farm to house, not going to the grocery store, making all of these arrangements. It has to be a very personal, short, like a short distance from the time the animal is sacrificed to the time where it is used for nourishment. So this is it's a very deep understanding when we can understand how we're contributing and don't judge ourselves for it. Now, on the same hand, plants have all the same feelings and the same scale, if not more, than we do. So we have to understand that it's not so much about what we do, anything. It's always about how we do it. Are we emotionally available and aware? Are we mentally available and aware? Are we honoring every aspect of this moment? And that's why grace is really important to some people, because it really does lift that heavy energy off of the offering, of the table offering. So it's a choice of however you want to do it. It's just more how you do it. Be aware of whatever you're choosing to do. I mean, really, 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 when we're not this form, we eat nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Exactly. It's really much part of this experience to be in an incarnation physical body. And I agree with you. It's the reverence behind it. It's how we do it. And again, it's bringing back heart connection, reverence for whole life connection, feeling. It's part of the spiritual maturity that we're going under. Yes.
Absolutely.
We understand each other. We have 2 questions for you in the chat room, if I may read them to you one at a time, of course. With a beautiful question from Ms. Liz here. It says, someone very special to me transitioned under a walnut tree in my mom's yard. One of the dogs, he ate a walnut from it and had no ill effect. Maybe the toxicity can be transmuted by some beings?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Everything can be, everything. And I mean everything. Take that as deep or as whatever you want to take it, especially right now, everything can be transmuted. Let us know that. So yes. And especially if the being or the person or the whoever was buried near the walnut tree was, a loving watcher, carer of, like is sitting at that tree saying, "No, you can have this one, only this walnut, only this one. Here you go. Have this walnut." The walnuts are okay though. Usually it's just the casings, but I hear what you're saying. Probably dog chewed it open and got into the walnut area.
Okay. Perfect. And that makes a lot of sense. I love that. Just so the record, everything can be transmuted. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Next question for you, Sabrina. Even though we may not be on the same vibrational frequencies as the angel, can they hear us when we speak to them immediately?
Absolutely. The thing is that what is the most intelligent form of intelligence is emotional intelligence. There's no other kind of intelligence that surpasses it. Every kind of intelligence that we form throughout the different lives that we have are all being contributed to emotional intelligence. So when we speak, we put out, those are vibrations of emotions. Whenever we're saying something, we're saying it through a lens or a filter of whatever emotion we're feeling at that time. They can hear, see, they can come down here non-form wise. They can do all of the things that we think ghosts can do. That's the energy that they're at, because it's sort of, but in that energy where they can move around, they're just not seen. But in order for them to come down here physically, so we say earth angels, they do not look perfect. They do not come down here like I don't know, Chris Hemsworth, you know, like, or Jason Momoa, you know, like smoking hot and perfect, you know, like they come down with, you know, deformations and issues with their organs, or it's usually the heart. But those beings have, those people who are earth angels have issues with a lot of the times. But when we say, because it's so interesting how I've been shown this. But anyways, usually it's the people who have heart issues from childhood or birth. So a lot of the times we can see those people are the ones that start to, if we really look at it, they teach us, they even just their life path teaches us, you know, because if they have heart issues and they're a child and we have to move through those heart issues with them, like I did with my son who had 15 holes in his heart.
Wow.
Yeah. And his little tiny 6-month-old heart was the size of his tiny little 6-month-old hand. And they went in there and fixed 12 of them 15 holes. So, and, you know, and he had, as a young child, a deformed skull. And it was the perfect line. It was a few things in the perfect line of the earth angel, how I understand them to come down. Anyways. So yes, they do. They totally hear us. As soon as we speak, this is why it's very important that we are aware of our wording right now, because our wording creates a picture in our minds. It is our job to send a picture out there as clear as we possibly can in order to receive help or give help. So when we're creating a picture, we need to know what our words mean to us. So it's not about just saying, oh, I love the world. Well, what does the word I mean to you? What does the word love mean to you? What does the word world mean to you? Like, what does that mean? And if you yourself don't know what that means, then what in fact are you loving? So it's an interesting lesson. This last little bit has been about, and I've been seeing it in manifestation, because I've been manifesting things and then recognizing, oh, I totally left out working vehicle. So yeah, they hear us.
Absolutely. Jeff, my friend, if you don't have any question, there's a few more in the chat room, but it's up to you if you have something you would like to ask.
Keep on going. I mean, I could talk to her for almost the rest of the day. But go ahead.
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah. That's okay. We'll blend. We'll go to the question and then we'll go back in that.
The chat's number one. So.
All righty. Yeah, we appreciate everyone tuning in every time. It really is. So there's a lot of thank you to you. Very wise answer. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I love what Miss Liz just said. Hope everyone hits the like button and share the link of the show. This is a wonderful conversation. Let's get it going. So just to give you some feedback, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Sabrina. Yeah, absolutely. Kathy is asking, is it possible to determine the reason why my daughter's Boston Terrier dog named Sophie has had several major seizures? Sophie is next to me right now. Thank you.
Oh, wow. She's really sensitive to barometric pressure and what is the rumbling? Seismic. Like worldwide. She's a
What part of the country is she from? Can she type in?
I can ask you, so I'll ask Kathy. I believe it might be Kentucky or something like that, but I will ask.
Yeah. That is a spot that got something yesterday or last night. But what's her name? Sophie, the dog? Sophie?
Sophie, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky. There you go.
Yeah. So it is
Kentucky.
Okay.
I was right on.
So this is there. She's the same as my dog. Last night I had to put I've got a Belgian Shepherd and her name is Marty. She's not in the room right now. Last night, the last few storms, because they're either man-made or they're either incredibly energetic. I keep on saying the really energetic storms are the Tesla storms, because I feel like these were the things that he was working on harnessing in order to get some real power throughout the world. But anyways, they're real storms. And my dog she's going to be 11 in January. And she's a very young 10-year-old. But she's, for the first time this year, been nervous about storms. So I've been paying attention to the information that comes from the storms, and I'm getting very much that there's so much energy that that Gaia, not just the earth, but the energy of earth, Gaia, is having this it's like almost like a lava lamp when I'm looking at it. Like things are floating, and those things that are floating, like the globs in a lava lamp, are like the universal, global issue with what's going on, that fear, the heavy emotions right now. And it seems like Mother Earth is putting these emotions into like measurable clumps, and they're coming out kind of all over. And those of us who are super sensitive to it will feel it far. Like I would say even some of them feel it weeks before it turns into an even cloud, right? Like especially somebody who's as sensitive as Sophie. So we have to understand that, like, we don't coddle it, like when she's feeling that way, she doesn't need to be coddled, because then that's working off of that heavy emotion of fear. But she needs to be encouraged while in that, or thanked. So while she's shivering, shaking, and then goes into a seizure, I would connect my heart directly to her heart, and her heart will be still. Even if her physical body is doing something, her heart is her being, and it will be still. And I would connect my heart, and then I would share the love, and I would say thank you for all of for the sensitive gauge that she is, for the capabilities, the deep capabilities she has in warning people of weather, inclement weather, that word, weather. English is a second language. So it's much deeper. We could say it's just something she eats or something like that, but it's not. She's very much connected to Mother Earth, and she's one of those. Each life that she's had, she's done this weather warning system or energetic warning system. So I feel like it's more, connect with her heart. And it's almost like the thanking and the gratefulness, and you're doing such a good job, and I can't believe it, but not looking in her eyes at that point necessarily, unless you feel the need to. But because when they're going through seizures, I know I used to have seizures, and when I can see people looking at me, their look of worry, even just a little bit, used to cause my seizures to get worse. So it's more about just being there, but not asking the 3D body to connect, just connecting energetically and allowing the 3D body to move through this misalignment. It's like a glitch.
What about if that lady put one of those stress jackets on the dog? Would that help the dog?
That's what I was going to say too. It can. Seizures are something different though. But I would still do it. I mean, my dog, I put on, because there's a thing called the Thunder shirt, but I don't have one for my bigger dog. And so I just put on a wide tensor bandage. It was like about that wide. And I just put it around her shoulders and her chest and made sure it was tight, like not super tight, but tight, and feeling like she's getting a great big hug. And she calmed right down after a little while. Now she doesn't seizure, but she's the same, incredibly sensitive to it. So, but even if you're a calm, the thing is because I was going to say you could do a good firm hug, but if you're not calm, then there's no point in doing that. And if you're not,
you got to feel that. You got to feel that what you're giving.
The emotional grounding, like that. There's definitely a limit. I shouldn't say that. There's instead of standing at the edge of a cliff and looking down and seeing no bottom, like they have to know there's a bottom there, so that when we're calm and we share that with them, then they can see the bottom and they calm down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for this.
You're welcome.
I'm sure that Kathy appreciated it as well, and thank you. We have a very interesting question by someone who's tuned to nature, obviously. So the question is the following: isn't it the planet? Let me rephrase that. I went thinking about Mother Earth, but there was another word. So I say that again. Isn't it the plant or animal extending its own life by sustaining our own or your own?
Yes. And that's the deepest understanding of the situation. And it doesn't mean that we take whatever we eat for granted, because we can't. Because we have to thank everything. It doesn't matter how small or big we think it is. It needs to be thanked. But we also have to understand that that is sometimes the ultimate lesson they are giving to the planet, is whether somebody goes about it absent-mindedly, there is still a lesson to be had, but whether they're going to pick it up or not, that's up to them. But when we're going at it in a sense where we can, again, it's that witnessing. It's the stepping out of the situation where the empathic feature will harm us, and moving into the picture where our hearts are honoring and thanking openly. Because when we are honoring and thanking, it doesn't matter what we're doing. If we're walking down the road and we see a 10-cent coin on the ground, and we honor and we thank that coin, we're probably going to see like 52 10-cent coins coming at us the next day, you know. And then, because gratefulness and appreciativeness brings, like, opens us up and brings so much of whatever made us that way to us. That's the law of attraction. So we need to be grateful. I have goosebumps right now, like massively.
Yeah,
I love it.
now the Indians would go and they would, like in Dances with Wolves, they would go to the buffalo and they would, get the buffalo. And that's a traumatic experience to the buffalo, obviously. But when they go to eat the buffalo, they celebrated the animal. Okay, so that kind of like gives thanks to, thank you for me killing you so I can eat you, right?
Right. And one for the many, not many for the one.
Right, exactly.
So that's the most important thing. That's the difference between greed and sustenance. Sustenance is, we don't want to, but we don't know what else to do. And the agreement, the contract the animal has is, I understand and I bless you. And then that animal comes back as something even higher than an animal, which is like, I mean, we are not anywhere as near as high as the animal on the level, or if there is a hierarchy of consciousness and awareness. They are so far beyond us. I mean, far. So when the animal gets to then go up to another level, it understands the purpose. Well, actually, it understands the purpose immediately, which is why we're able to thank them and get nourishment from them. Because if they didn't understand the purpose immediately, the food would probably hurt us. So it's important that we understand that it is an agreement. It's not even the way it's happening. Think. Let's just get outside of ourselves for a minute here and think that if it wasn't happening this way at this point in our world's revolutions, would we be aware of the state of the animal consciousness if there weren't enough people that were worried about how greed was moving through that, I don't want to say industry, but that idea? If everything was always moving in a way where people didn't have to complain about it, would there ever be change? Now, we don't have to say necessarily that field, just in general, let's say. We have to have a problem to make changes right now.
Is it not though part of the old paradigm that we're transcending to create problem and in order to get to listen and then to get wisdom? It feels like an old loop, an old paradigm to me.
Right, but we're not through it yet. And so we can't dismember from it. So if we say, well, I don't do that, so I'm not going to even dabble in that anymore. Well, that's denying yourself a whole aspect of your being in which we need to talk, not you personally, but we as humanity need to talk about. So it's definitely, this is where I was going to go. We learn, my favorite Yoda person, she always says that we learn by contrast. And so that is what we're trying to move through and beyond. That's what this point is about, is to show the contrast. And look how much contrast.
So that
Right.
if they didn't have problems to solve, you would have an arrested culture.
Kind of. Or you would hope to have a completely enlightened culture. But if they didn't learn how to move through those problems they created so that they could learn that lesson, because they weren't learning it physically without the problem, then yeah, it would almost be something like that. Like it might be one way and non-abrasive in most ways, but it's not like the community would be growing, because everybody needs to be challenged. Even those that aren't here and we don't see them all the time. Well, they are here, but we don't see them all the time. They are growing and challenging themselves and growing and challenging themselves and growing because of it.
Growing and expanding, yes, absolutely. We don't have already reached a point of saturation about this. It feels like it's been thousands of years, generation and generation and generation, into the same kind of repetitive patterns about the growing pain. And from a galactic perspective, we feel that we're moving past that. It feels like there's other ways to grow. There's other ways to expand. It feels like it's become a little bit saturated.
Mm-hmm. It has.
Don't you feel?
And that's those storms that come in last night. And that's those hurricanes over the oceans that wipe out everything. That's what our fear and choice of not knowing is doing. So, yeah, okay, those who choose not to ascend don't necessarily know that they're choosing not to ascend, but they're going through the physical aspect of what happens when you choose not to ascend. So are we. So are those who are choosing to ascend. But because we're choosing to ascend, we can see a way out of things.
Isn't that about what exactly souls have chosen? Because for what I've been shown, and it's just another perspective, of course, for what I've been shown is that I've seen a group of souls, about almost like 1/3 of the population, actually. I've seen a group of souls that prior to their incarnation, when they came through the different timelines on the planet, they understood already that in order for them to evolve and continue to evolve, they will continue to go through a third dimensional plane of reality in order for them to ascend later on, whatever that much time is, where they will reach another level evolution. Well, I feel like it's all part of, it's already been predetermined at the soul level. You're not here randomly. So how does the dynamic work with that then?
As in,
this is part of your soul blueprint, that the soul knows that it may take a soul another 1,000 years to reach fifth dimensional level, for example. And then we come here, and of course, the blueprint of the life journey will reflect all of this. Always says, you want to know your purpose, decode your life journey. You'll extract very previous information. But souls, everything has been predetermined. This is not just we come here to experience and then learn lessons and move on. How does it, preparing from the soul, coming here and going through the journey, then connects in your perspective?
Okay, so I'll go with what I'm getting. So what I'm getting is when we have an ultimate purpose, right? That ultimate purpose is big, small, doesn't matter. Each one of us has a different size purpose, we'll say, but they're all just as important as the other. These are the times where the micro isn't written, but the macro is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the details aren't what necessarily matter. But as long as we move through those details in the pathways that we're drawn to go in, then we will serve the bigger purpose. And that's the ascension, right? Like we serve our bigger purpose in each in each life, we have that bigger purpose. We do all of the smaller purposes because that's the everyday stuff. And that could be going to a youth group and helping kids out. It could be going to an animal shelter, just your job. It really could be many different things. And then the big purpose, the life purpose, is an agreement. So they're kind of like, it would be really nice if you got it done in this lifetime, but like this soul and this life will get this job done. But if it has to transfer into the next body, the next life, that's okay. It just means that soul could have ascended into a different form with the previous one, but now it's going into a different direction. That doesn't change the overall outcome, because never does anything ever lie on just one soul. So it's just the more we get going on one view, or not one view, but maybe one drive, one purpose, the better, because then that's just more gusto behind that steamroller. But we also want people to experience everything they can experience, because the love for all of those little experiences is what drives that steamroller. So it's really important that we have the freedom to have everyday occurrences, but also understand that while we're moving with the flow, which most of us do, we may say, why aren't these people waking up? But the reality is they're not supposed to yet. So we need to stop expecting them to wake up. Let them go. Let them be. Let them do whatever it is they need to do. Don't ignore them. Don't hate them because they're not doing things. Just don't expect them anymore to be doing what you hope they'll be doing. That's your expectation and your hope. What we need to do is say, you are doing exactly what you need to be doing. I'll be over here doing my thing. And then just let the two go on. And as much as that aspect that isn't waking up can scare people, when we just take away all responsibility of everything, because people for some reason feel like they're responsible for changing the earth from looking at everything one way to looking at it another way. We're not. We're responsible for ourselves, and that is it. We are responsible for how we move through this process and this challenge in humanity's existence. We're responsible for ourselves, and that is it. Yes, we can hope and we can try to learn, but the more we push things in people's faces, the more they put up signs that say piss off.
So, okay, I got a question. I don't know if you're done, but I got a question because it deals with this. Mm-hmm. Somebody dies, animal dies, whatever. It's assumed that the soul ascends. Does it ever descend?
It can, and I will say this because of its own worthiness, its own self-worth. Now, I would say that it's not incredibly often, that usually they stay on one place, because a soul is an ever-learning entity. It is there to gain and gather as much information as possible, and it's always contributing to the collective, always. It's like a constant upload. Mm-hmm. So information is always available. But one going the other way,
I mean, it has to, because if you have a positive, you have to have a negative, or else you would never know there is a positive.
Right. But in the same sense, if the positive is always moving up and up and up, and the negative stays the same, then the positive is still moving farther and farther away from the negative. So it's not necessarily that the negative has to move backward. It could just stay still. There have been instances, and I can say that I'm getting much information right now, that we will know when a soul goes the other way, because again, it affects Mother Earth's everything. So this is why we have so much crap right now. We have so much random weather. I mean, when did the snow in Texas happen? Like that was 2019 or something like that? And like all of this crazy weather that's happening, a lot of it is, I'm not going to lie, and I really, opinions don't matter to me when it comes to this topic. I know it's man-made. So, yeah, exactly. So where I go with that is, where I go with that is that there's a lot of manipulation going on, but the manipulation is just showing us a level of where we need to heal the collective. It's not saying these beings are wrong. It's saying we need to send love down there, because obviously what we're doing right now is we're denying that. Oh my gosh, that is so bad. I just don't even want to pay attention to it. But when our kids being, having a temper tantrum in our house, right? I mean, I've seen the videos of parents who say, okay, it's time for a time. I'm not judging, and I never will. But I've seen the videos where parents say, okay, it's time for a timeout. And then I've seen the videos of parents saying, bringing their children, their little toddlers in very close and hugging them while they're having a freak out. And the difference is impressive. But that wasn't the same child. So where I'm going with this is that we can say that child is behaving badly and we don't want to pay attention to it. Or in the healthier sense, we can say that child's having a hard time. I'm going to show it some love. I'm going to go and give it a hug. And if it hits me, I'm going to say, ouch, that hurts. And if it yells at me, I'm going to say, ouch, those words hurt. Ouch. And, I might cry, because I cry easily when kids are hurt. Like I might have a conversation with them about tears and how important they are. But the healthy way is to not ignore that. It's to love it, but maybe not work with it. Like we don't need to encourage you, but we will tell you we love you.
Well, I come from a different background than that, let me tell you.
Lots have. And this is where I do too. And this is where we have to start moving into that idea that as soon as we can love what we perceive as the unlovable, we have ascended to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point. In fact, there's another question that came through, and I feel like it's really, really well tied up with what we've been saying. Let's see if I can find it, because there's so much going on in the chat room. It's about our galactic star brothers and sisters. Let me see here. What is our galactic family role in our ascension?
Like just humans?
Yes, here on Earth, our ascension here.
Oh my goodness, so much. Like everything is on us right now, because everything is all animals, all plants, all aliens, everything is co-creating with us. Even if we think they're going against us, they're not. They're co-creating. They're playing the role that they're supposed to play. Our role is to move beyond the 3D physical understanding of affecting. And what I mean by that is, like that last statement, exactly, you were right. It was when we can learn to love the unlovable, right? We can move forward. We're ascending majorly. So what our role is to show those star beings the different areas that haven't been maybe looked at or focused on by them, to know how to move 3D through that separated heart distance state. I don't know what to call that, where we separate ourselves from the emotional feelings we get from something. So like when I look at a painting that I think is absolutely stunning, I will cry. Tears will just come down my face. And I'm not sitting there crying. I'm not, it's not like that.
No, but you're picking up the intention of the painter as he was in the act of doing it.
Right. And I know that I was, because I was at a painter's exhibition And I didn't know I was the painter. And I was looking at the painting and my eyes were watering. And he was an elderly man. And he said, "What do you feel from this? What do you get from this? What are those tears?" And I explained to him what they were from and what I was getting from the painting. And he was like, "That's exactly what I wanted people to feel." So it was a beautiful, beautiful moment. But that's what we're here to move from, just looking at something to experiencing it, but with our own understanding attached to that experience. So
how does one put the intention into that? How does one do that?
Well, somebody can do it intentionally, but every time when somebody's singing, it doesn't matter how spiritual they are. When somebody's singing and you can feel that, and you can even if it's a crappy singer, like I always use Janis Joplin, Mercedes-Benz. She is not the best singer in the entire world, Janis Joplin.
No, but she sings from the heart. From the heart. Soul, man. It's like
right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And why? Because that is her light language. That is her soul language. That is her heart language. And when she's singing, all of that is innately coming through her. She has no idea, and she doesn't need to. All she's doing is singing and speaking melodically words that help people that are at the same frequency heal. So yeah. So like somebody who doesn't have to heal that aspect of themselves that Janis Joplin is singing about or putting out there, they won't get the same from the song. They'll be like, her voice is really raspy. It's kind of crappy. I don't like this song, and then be done with it and go and listen to somebody else. But those who are on the frequency that her pain or her experiences are coming from, and because she's so openly singing about it, there's no intention needed. It's out there. That is what her language is. Exactly that emotion.
Yeah, that song she did, "Summertime," is just timeless. Every time I hear it, I can just takes me back to the late 60s.
Yeah. Like her Janis's "Summertime," right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that song.
Feel that when she just starts to, wallow in that. Just tremendous.
I agree.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sabrina. We have a beautiful question for you. Can a soul come back to help others to ascend?
Good question.
Absolutely. And that's also what the animals are doing, and the plants.
Right.
The animals can come back?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Will they come back like with another animal, or they can't come back as a human?
Yeah. You can a soul is not, there are no limits. None.
So would that be considered a descension for the animal to come back as a human?
No, because it's a human with a higher awareness. That's me.
Gotcha.
Like I've been, I swear to you, the last animal life I was like I was a horse, because first off, I've been with horses my entire life almost, but me and them move together. We just do. Like as soon as I'm around them, I'm like, "Oh, who are you?" And do the little horsey meeting things. Like horses are very whoa when they say hello to each other as horses. And when I do that, they're like, "Oh, well, I don't know. Who are you?" And then we have a little curiosity. I compare them to cats. Horses are incredibly curious. They will get trapped into a big net trap because they'll be like, "What's that?"
Horses scare the crap out of me. I just can't. I just can't.
Well, guess what horses are here for specifically? To help us.
All things.
to help us gain emotional intelligence. So if you are scared the crap of them, then I would ask myself, am I scared to emotionally evolve?
Oh, absolutely. So I agree with that.
Yeah. And this is where we go with it. And this is what they're here for. Like I could stand, there's a farm down the road, and I go for a walk and I stand there. I can't see the little, well, he's not little. He's a big chunky gray horse, and I can't see him. And if I can't see him, I'll just stand there for a couple of seconds. And literally I called him Ghost a couple of times because he just shows up. He's so huge. I'm thinking, how can you sneak up? I'm a horse person. I know where to look and how to look and what to listen for. And yet this guy always just peeps around a corner somewhere. And he's like, hi, hi. He just loves seeing me, but he always knows when I'm coming up. So it's that's them. Like they already have them feelers out there. They know who's coming up, which is why it's so important we understand that they already know when they're going to get hunted down by an animal. They know that relationship has already, that contract was signed. That moment where we think they are hurting there's a few moments before that where they've already left. The soul has already left. The soul, because it's following its path and it's doing its soul purpose, gets not rewarded, but gets the benefit of tapping out before anything happens.
Okay, now I recently had a death in the family, and I asked.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I asked Tilcum. I said, "When does the soul decide to leave the body?" And he said, "As soon as it stops oscillating, it goes back to the first one for evaluation, and then it goes on to the next one." I mean, I said, I don't know. What?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, so I guess when the body stops oscillating, that's when the soul leaves the body.
Yeah. And that oscillation is like a when we
I mean, the answer is like quick, like, oh, here, this one, this is what it is. Hey, wait, slow down.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because our cells move so quickly with each other and in relation to each other, as soon as one of those cells stops moving that way, then the alignment, it's a misalignment, and it's a jarring. It's like the belt in an engine. Say you got a chain belt in your engine. I did in my Honda Accord, and one of them chains misses. Well, then the whole engine halts.
I mean, it made so much sense after about maybe 5 minutes. I think I said, "Oh, I get it." You know, these guys are great.
They really are. And knowing that stuff, like I find it's easier to, like, not maybe. This is why it's easier for me to understand the process with my chickens or my animals or people, because I know that they don't. I know that we don't have things happen to us unless we agree to them. So it's these things where I know that people who, just to be really direct, say in a car accident, I know that those people, if they passed, they did not feel. And there wasn't fear in their last minutes or their last moments. It was very much an invitation. It was a conversation with creator, with whoever, their soul, their oversoul, whoever they choose to talk to at that first step. It's a conversation of, you did well. And you did so well. Would you like to stay down, or would you like to move on? This is your choice. We have either way in the contract. We've already worked on it. So which way do you want to go? And a lot of the times at that point, they say, I'll go up. I'll go to the next one. And so in that process, their body is, getting dealt with on the 3D level, but they're not feeling that. And if they live through it, do they remember it? I've never known a person to remember the actual event of, like, say, an accident or something. I've never. And I've known quite a few people that have very traumatic accidents, different ones. And I asked them, can I ask you a personal question? Do you remember anything about the accident? Nothing. Do you remember feeling anything after or around the accident? Nothing.
Yeah, see, now when I had my motorcycle accident, the last thing I remember is saying, shit. And then I woke up.
Done, yeah.
But I don't remember any hitting the pavement. I don't remember rolling into the bike,
And you won't. It never happens to anybody. Because we're always up making agreements and contracts.
I'd like to add a layer to that, because back in 2015, I had a collision, head first collision in a car, I mean, I was on my way in a green light going into, and then the car just turned in front of me.
Oh,
And there was other things behind what had happened. But the point I'm making is that even to this day, I remember the car coming in, feeling the pain going to my left side, going straight into my heart, my rib cage, all of it. And I remember the car moving by the impact to 180 degree. I remember that. Then I saw all white, like pure white light inside of the cabin where I was taken out. And then I remember being coming back and looking at, I was driving that way. And the next thing I know, I'm completely looking at opposite. And inside of the cabin, it felt like everything stood still. But I have like an aspect of the memory, and I have an aspect where I don't have the memory. It's like half and half. And I remember the police officer was an earth angel sent to me. They were there like in 30 seconds. I don't even know where they pop up from, literally. And they just appear and he hold my hand and he says, "You're gonna be okay, you hear me?" And I said, I don't know if I'm gonna be okay. He said, "Yes, you will." And the ambulance came, but I remember being brought out of the car into the ambulance, being bombarded with questions. And when we get to the hospital, we got some x-ray, and then the doctor was puzzled. He says, "You don't have any broken bone." But what I don't understand, yeah, but what I don't understand is that all the rib of the left side, all went out of socket and they were put back in perfectly in place.
yeah. And do you
And
want
of
to know
course,
why you remember it? You want to know why you remember it?
okay, please.
Because you weren't here. You were
No.
in that, whatever that thing is called. Yep. The healing cabin. Yep. Can't find the word for it. Anyways, it's like a healing pod. You go in there and it's just like light infused and crystal activated, and it goes and magnetically, because we all know when we have a deeper understanding, or we're hybrids, we understand a little bit differently of magnetism and the how fast something has to go in order for it to be magnetized. So when you go into an accident like that, you go up into the pod and we can magnetically see everything going right back together again to where it's supposed to go. And then it's like this ping. It's a big ping sound. And then the light that's what you're talking about with the white light. And then you come back here because you've already now healed it. So I wouldn't doubt that it was probably you doing that. If it wasn't you, then it was you and a few other beings that were on the same team.
Yeah, there were two major beings on each side of me, and they identified themselves as Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Ramiel, and that's why they identified themselves at. So my body remember, but I don't remember everything. But I remember, I can tell you exactly describing what it looks like, the car, the others, and everything like that. So that was interesting. I like to interweave something, a question I feel like somebody asked, and I think it's beautiful. What wisdom, Sabrina, would you have to share for those those who feel like they have been awake for a long time? Like many people go through in their early 20s and they go through an awakening process, and they say, "Well, today I'm in my 50s." So, what about the souls like myself who go through the awakening process already? What maybe wisdom can you share?
Well, know that absolutely everything that is brought to you is for the purpose of growth and strength. Because you've grown so much, well, you, the group of that you're speaking of, because you have grown so fast in this last little while, because those of us who have already been awakened for a while, we had that crash course, right? Like we're through it. And now we're not so much getting the learnings as well, we are, but it's a different type of learning. It's more of a strength skill challenges, testing our will and our strength within our will. And that's happening a lot right now. So what I say is stick to your guts, stick to it. Don't get talked off. Don't, like, even the emotional state, don't let it change the emotions, because it's not, an opinion is an opinion. It's only one person's view of something. If we were to put everybody's opinion and everybody's view up to the forefront, we would see a full picture. But without everybody's view and everybody's opinion, it's just one part of the picture. So we don't need to color within the lines in their picture. We're not coloring their effing picture. We're coloring our own. And if I want to take out the lines and draw on the frickin' wall, I will. Nobody's going to tell me I can't draw on the wall. So the wisdom is go. Keep doing. Keep pushing. Don't push people, but keep pushing through the deep grass. Keep pushing through the tree branches that seem like they're so deep that you're so intertwined and intense that you can't see through them. Well, you're not looking when you're pushing. You're just pushing. It's just like when a ram pushes another ram. They don't look the ram in the eye. They push with their heads and get through it and then look up. And they're like, oh, look at all this clearing around us now. We don't have to push so much. So, and the twigs and the branches that are trying to hold us back, a lot of the times it's because they wish they had the awareness. And it's called jealousy. So when people are jealous of me, I say, either you can, kind of be quiet and enjoy a hug with me and feel what I have to give you, because you don't want me to do the same thing to you. I'm not saying I will. That's not a threat. I'm saying you don't want that. Nobody wants that. So I'll share with you my love, so that my love will show you that you're okay just the way you are, whoever you is. So it's, again, loving the worst, ugliest part of ourselves. And when we can love that, then we're inviting in all aspects of everything in the entire universe. And it's not that we have to say, I like it when people make fun of me, or I like it when people trip me in front of people, like, we don't have to say that, but we don't have to get up punching either, because that's worse than the tripping, right? So we get up and we wipe ourselves off. We laugh in the face of those who thought that they hurt us. And we say, come on, let's go have a walk. If you don't want to walk with me, then don't trip me, or I'll just jump over your feet now. I know you, like we learn from it, but we have to also keep pushing in order to learn that. And so this is where I say the wise ones get the extra layers. They get the extra layers of skin, of scales, of shell, of everything that we need right now, because this is the time to find out which direction we're going in.
Mm-hmm. Good, well said. This is the time indeed. We have a beautiful question here from Barbarella, if I may ask you, Sabrina. I think that you will have, I feel like you're going to have the perfect answer for her. She said, I keep having white light inside my head the last 2 years. Is it something wrong with my head, or is it downloads or anything else? Or what is it going on?
Interesting. Well, the information that I'm getting is that it's kind of like a signifying that she's in the right state of mind. It's like the now moment, right? Like, so if say she's standing there and a white flash happens and then it goes away, and then a couple of minutes later a white flash happens and then it goes away. In those white flash moments is when she's super uber connected, because she's in the now. She's not thinking of things that happened before. She's not thinking of things that happened or could happen ahead. She's not depressed or anxious. She's in the now. And that's kind of like it's not a reward. Again, we don't get rewarded as much as we get signals, and we reward ourselves, right? Like, that's how we have to be rewarded, is by ourselves. If we need it outside of ourselves, then it's not a reward. So what it is, though, is like a signal. It's a time to pay attention. And so when it's like super bright, super white, that's, to me, is like a clean slate. It's like anything can happen. She can make anything. I mean, like, talk about time for manifestation. That would be when I would do it.
Good. That's true. I like the clean slate. I feel that with the white light. I do. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious about something. You mentioned a while ago that English is not your first language. What is your first language, if I may ask? I'm curious.
I don't know the name. You mean literally? It's English, but my soul
Oh,
language
okay.
is definitely not English.
Okay. No,
I'll send you.
I relate to that because my first language, from a human perspective, it's French, and I learned English as a second language later on in life. So I can say sometimes there's some words that I have a hard time pronouncing because to me, like, what is the word I'll say in French? This
Yeah.
is why I thought that you have sense of
Yeah.
humor. Okay, very good. Well, we have a lot of thank yous already for you,
Oh, you're
Sabrina. So,
welcome.
oh, absolutely. It feels like we were in a time warp. Don't you feel that, Jeff? We have 5 minutes left already.
Really?
Man,
Five,
I know we should
five.
go to 2 hours, man. We should make it 2 hours. You
Well,
know,
That's a
like
long time.
especially, yeah, especially with you, Sabrina. I'll have to be.
I know.
It's
It
one.
just goes. It is a time warp. I'll tell you that.
It is a time warp. So, you know, unless Jeff, you have a question or something you would like to mention to Sabrina, the
no,
last.
I think at this point I'm okay.
Okay.
Really?
Well,
No, but you know what I'm talking about.
so how about we wrap up? Stay with us, everyone. We still have a few minutes left with Sabrina. We want to have every second we can get. Stay with us. So, in the last, to wrap up our amazing time together with the winter solstice coming through, all the changes, what maybe a message you would like to give to everyone at this time?
Oh, I would love to give the message that we are not alone. We have each other. Our friendships, our relationships are literally no distance away. We need to share in experiences with each other right now, especially those who are emotionally confused or working through some thick emotional parts of themselves. This is the time to do it. You're doing the right thing right now by doing that work. That's really important. Right now, it's about processing our emotions so that we have intelligence behind them and 3D intelligence behind them, because emotions themselves are hugely intelligent in 5D and beyond. So we are all doing the right thing. We don't need to worry about, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? We are all doing the right thing. So don't
Okay.
question when it comes to moving your love from yourself or to somebody else. Learn your lessons, be open, be humble, and be a student of life.
Mm, I like that. Being teachable, remain open and receptive and be teachable. I love that. Sabrina, how can people can connect with you? I want to put it on the screen so everybody can see it. How can people connect with you? What is the best way?
Through my business Facebook or email. You have that, right? You said you're going to put it up?
Yep.
Beautiful.
sixthsensibility@gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay, let me
And
put that right away.
the Facebook, my business page is Six Sensibilities with Sabrina Campbell.
Okay.
And yeah, those two ways is pretty easy. I do believe I have some other information on how to contact me on my business page, so you can go there and make your choice.
Perfect, perfect, excellent. I'm showing right now on the
Oh
screen.
yeah, I see it. Beautiful.
Yeah, making sure people please take note if you want to have more questions. Working with Sabrina, want to make sure that people knows how to reach to you. Sabrina, it's very important. So, thank you. That was always. I knew that would be absolutely fantastic. I just knew that would
Oh,
be
me too.
amazing.
I love talking to you guys. It's always wonderful. And there's always such awesome questions that come out. Like, I love it. It helps me grow too.
Oh, see, we got absolutely. We're running for each other. We're growing together. That's the thing. We're doing it together. We
Right.
have 2 thumbs up in the on the chat room. Yes, Jeff, you're right. 2 hours is not too long. Thank you so much. The great energy coming from all of us, all of you, all of us. Gratitude to Vivian, Jeff, Sabrina. Thank you for creating this space, Sansor, and very deep gratitude. We are so grateful for everyone who is joining us today.
Mhm.
Stay with us because we're wrapping up 2021, the last episode of this year, Sunday, December 19, 11 a.m. Mountain, which is going to be 1 p.m. Easter time. It's going to be just Jeff and I. We're wrapping up. We talk about the winter solstice. Ask us anything. I might do a reading on during the show to see where this is going and everything else that's going to come. We're going to wrap up season 2, make an announcement for season 3. Join us for the last episode of 2021, Sunday, December 19. And we're going to be right at the junction of winter solstice. So we'll do some clearing. We'll have a blast, right, Jeff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't wait.
I can wait. But today, that's important. Sabrina, thank you for being a force of light. Thank you for being authentic. Thank you for being you. And we hope that you'll come back in 2022. Huh?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And thank you for everybody in the comment section there for all of your beautiful questions. I've so enjoyed this. It's been a wonderful Sunday.
It's absolutely amazing. I can hear very deep, great interview, very inspiring. It was lovely. Thank you all. Thank you. Merci for those in Quebec. Muchas gracias. Yeah, there you go. Love it. Much love, everyone. We'll see you on December 19. In the meantime, please contact with Sabrina. And remember, we're here for you. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your journey. We'll see you next time.